So hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for this again special session that we have today. And you're going to soon hear who is our guest today. But I'm Itzik Amiel, and we are here with a weekly Switch interview series called it Switch It On, where we talk to smart and talented people on how you could switch on your practice and even your life. And you're invited. So if you watch us, we are live, and we are very much want you to join us to see if you are here with us. Please type in your name in the chat where you're dialing from. We want to know, and also our guests want to know where you're dialing from, that you are with us, and I can see you joining, so thanks for that. Today we're going to talk about the subject of today is differentiate your firm boldly. And many of you ask, what do you mean by it? So in other words, is how to talk about your firm that people care. And I think it's fascinating subject that you're going to hear. We have one of the top, even the top expert in the world about it today. And I promise you it will be awesome session together. Again, please type in the chat your name. I see you, Rajesh and Diana and Dina and Bold and Gracie and David, Alex. All of you joining, great, but type in who you are, where you from, so everybody can see that. And that's, by the way, another way for you to stand out of the crowd to let us know you're there. I have the honor to have this special live session today with, as I said, the top differentiation expert that I know. Today, my special guest and friend is Mark Levy. So before I invite Mark to join us, let me give you some insight behind his back. Because we as speaker hates people talking in front of us. We just get red and embarrassed. Let me do it behind his back as always. Because Mark is the founder of Levy Innovation LLC, a positioning and strategy firm that helps organizations and thought leaders differentiate by using what he calls a big, sexy idea. I'm going to hear soon about it. Mark has consulted to some of the world's most prominent companies and individuals, including CEOs of major brands like Popeyes, the former head of strategy of the Harvard Business Schools, and thought leaders such as Simon Sinek of Start with a Y fame, to those of you who knows about it. Mark also consulted on a TV special on the History Channel, as well as the reboot of the beloved cult series called Mystery Science Theater 3000. In 2018, he was elected into the $1 million Consulting Hall of Fame. Mark is also a keynote speaker. He's spoken about strategy to dozens of organizations, including Adobe, American Express, and Google, just to name a few. Mark is a writer. He's written for New York Times and has written or co-created 5 books, including the last one, Accidental Genius, using writing to generate your best ideas, insight, and content, which has been published in 11 languages and has been the bestseller in 3 different formats. Besides his positioning work, and that's you find it exciting because, as you know, I love this subject. Mark creates magic tricks and shows. Yes, he's also a magician. Actually, not a magician, he will say somebody behind successful magician. One of the shows he co-created, Chamber's Magic, those of you who knows, has run for over 2 decades and appears, if you check TripAdvisor, and I did, as the New York City highest rated live show, ranking higher than even the musical Hamilton. Can you believe it? Amazing. So this is just what I love to call the best kept secret, because a lot of you didn't know Mark, and today you are into a treat to know Mark. And I'm going to invite him right away to join us because I know he's waiting for a long time. Hi, Mark, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate how professional looking you look with your nice boutonniere, your nice flower. I don't look quite so professional.
You know, secret, Mark. All these things that you're watching is actually my own online store. I have another streams of income. So all those things I do it for my own hands, called IZ Collections. So there you go. So it's branding for my own name. You talk about differentiation. We're going to talk about it. That's one of the things differentiating yourself, right?
That's awesome.
So at first, it's great to have you, and I know you're very busy because I know how much, but I always enjoy talking to you. I'm hope that everybody listening to us, who joining us, will be in the same treat. So I want to thank you first for your valuable time. But with your permission, Mark, let me set the stage for our conversation to really dive in.
Sure.
Because most of the time, what makes us different may not be complicated process or service. In fact, many of us, I think, overlooked our key strength because it seems too simple or neutral to us. And in reality, each of you of listening, your differentiator may be something we find easy to do, but our clients find it amazing. So we taught to believe, probably as child, that things of value have to be hard or complex. Just because these things we do are easy for us does not mean they're easy for others. And you need to become consciously aware of this value you and your firm provide and use it to your benefit. Your differentiation should be things that make you different in your field of expertise. Package it in a way that other cannot copy. But my grandmother used to say, taste of the hand. We all want that, but how do you achieve it? And that's exactly the reason for this special session with Mark, to help you determine that one unique differentiation quality that only you practice has to offer. Well, Mark, I hope you agree with everything I said, and I want to dive what I call 10 in 1, which is 10 questions in 1 minute. I know you didn't prepare for it, so
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure you will for the ride. And let me start with the first one. So, I mean, I also encourage all of you there joining. Again, first, if you are there, please type in your name in the chat so Mark can see that you are with us. And I know you are with us, but still, we want to see that. And if you have also you want to participate in this 10 in 1, I encourage you to put your answers in the chat when I'm reading them to Mark. So we're going to start. Mark, are you ready? Because
I am.
Great. Here we go. So that's the first one. Firms with a bold differentiation.
1 for 1. Okay, good.
Firms with bold differentiation are surely more successful, got no advantage, or you never measure.
Oh, firms with differentiation have an enormous advantage. Outrageous.
Awesome. Number 2. Oh, I took it out. Differentiation of your firm can be difficult because too many choices, it is nobody's responsibility, or it seems like a life and death decision.
It seems like a life and death decision. I have a lot to say about that. That's why people don't differentiate. They're terrified of it, and there's no reason to be. We'll get on to that.
Absolutely. I know you agree with that. Number 3, to differentiate your firm, you need to one thing to be different, most things to be different, or everything to be different.
Just one thing. It's good if other things are. I have a lot to say about this, but you just need one thing, a foot in the door. Go ahead.
You see how much knowledge Mark has to share with us today. Number 4, the best brand story is often, sorry for that. Yeah. The best brand story is often funny and bombastic, formal and specific, or informal?
Informal.
Sure. We into the right choice. Thank you, Mark. Number 5, sometimes it's easier to learn positioning and branding by taking time to think, by looking outside of your field, or by looking at your competitors.
Well, they're all correct. I don't know if you're trying to urge me to take one or the other, but if I was to have anyone, there's so much I have to say. I'm going to say by looking outside your field. I know that's not probably not the answer that most people are looking for. They're all right, but that's the most interesting one.
Absolutely. I agree. And that's exactly what I want you to pick, because I think everybody can pick up everything else, but you're right. Mark should pick up this one. Number 6, differentiation of a firm is part of branding, is nothing to do with branding, or is identical to branding but in different words.
Well, I would say it's part of branding. It is part of. I never look at it that way, but I know other people look at it that way.
Exactly. But I think number 3 is probably more you. It's probably something different at all from
identical
branding.
All right.
It's not identical. No, sorry, not number 3. I'm sorry. It's nothing to do with branding. I think it is connected in people's brain, but it's totally different indeed. But maybe
differentiation. If your differentiation is right, it affects everything. So that's why I say it's part of branding, because it affects how you bill too. Like it should affect.
It can also affect your life as well.
Right. So. That's exactly right.
Right. Number 7, what makes a firm different is mostly a complicated process or service. Is absolutely not. Are you crazy, Itzik? Oh, sure.
Oh, it's not. It's not. If what makes your firm super different is complicated, no one will ever remember it or be able to repeat it to anyone else. So it can't be complicated.
Exactly. And you will not be able to even explain that to them. So that's even worse.
That's right.
Absolutely. Number 8, why differentiation is important to every firm? Because it makes them memorable and credible. It helps your prospect quickly understand what you can do for them. Sorry for that. Or set you apart from your competitors.
Oh, it's all those things. It's all those. I refuse to pick one of those as
it was a tricky question, Mark. I wanted to trick you.
Exactly.
Right. Number 9, the secret of creating your differentiation is understanding yourself, understanding your clients, or understanding your employees.
Again, it's all those things, but I would say it's understanding yourself first would be the
Absolutely.
primary one. Yeah.
Absolutely. We should start with that. Otherwise, you're not understanding your clients or employees. Number
Right.
10, the best results from differentiation of your firm boldly is getting better clients, retention of the right clients, or retention of employees.
Again, it's all those things. If I had to pick one, I would say getting better clients if I had to, but it's all
No,
of
you
them.
don't have to. You can pick all
All right,
10.
I'm going to pick all of them.
I just wanted to show the variety of things you have thoughts and ideas, and I know I can pick up more, but thank you for that. So that was very fast one. A lot of ideas of things you're talking about and showing, and I'm sure it's going to come again in our conversation. And I hope the people who listen to us following, because I think that's fascinating how you tackle the same idea from different angles. So thank you for that, Mark.
Hmm.
But let me dive in our conversation because I shared in my info, Mark, that you have been working as a consultant with impressive roster of clients, CEO of huge organization, member of Major League Baseball League, and some even prominent TED speakers. I know a lot of interesting clients. So tell us in short, how did you get into that? What was the inspiration to figure out what is that you're good at and that you
Sure.
are going to continue helping other companies do as well?
Sure. So years ago, I was the director of sales of the third largest book wholesaler in the world. We would buy millions of dollars worth of books from Random House, Simon and Schuster, and so forth, and we'd sell them to bookstores over the phone. And so I helped the company sell over $1 billion worth of books. So
Wow.
what I had to do every single day is I'd get every single book that ever came out from every publisher. I would get them each day and I'd have to look through them and decide what the book was about, what would make it sellable, what would be entertaining about it, should it sell, should it not sell, what was happening in the world that would make it sell or not sell, and so forth. And by the way, sometimes my ideas were different than what the publisher or even the author thought about what should sell. So I helped sell over $1 billion worth of books over the
Wow.
course of 14 years, right? And so I quit that job after 14 years to open my own consulting firm. And essentially, what I did was over those 14 years in the book industry, I calculated well over 25,000 different pitches. 25,000 live pitches to real people making money. So it was
Best service
just
in the world.
very easy for me. So I started to look at people's businesses and their lives as if they were a book. I would say, what is the book that you've written with your business so far? What's the main idea? What are the ancillary ideas? What are the stories? If we moved a satellite idea, a small idea up to the fore and made your quote unquote book about that, would it be an easier book to sell? So I just treated businesses and lives as if they were books. And that's how I started working with people from the Harvard Business School and all that. Just because 25,000 pitches, man, I know something about how to pitch.
For
That's it.
sure. I mean, that's the best survey in the world, right? And as people
Right.
don't even have the chance of a lifetime to do that. So
That's
that's
right.
amazing story, Mark. By the way, everybody joining us, I see you joining. Thank you for that. We are live with Mark Levy, and I want you to type in the name in the chat. If you have questions for Mark during this session, absolutely ask it as well in the chat, so I can even share your question to Mark instead of mine. So I prefer that, as you know. So do that as well. And again, if you have any other questions, you're always welcome. You're invited again to join us. So we are talking about differentiating your firm boldly. So, Mark, let's dive into the importance of differentiation because that's the heart of our talk today. And you're talking right about the need to, and let me say in your words, discover your big, sexy idea.
Right.
So please explain what do you mean by it and what do you suggest the firm, the owner of the firm listening to us now, what should they do to find it?
Well, so what it is people make snap judgments every day based on almost no information and no deliberation. They very quickly look at something and they say, "Oh, here's what this thing is. I want this thing," or there's not much to see here. I'm going to move on. So so this stuff happens in a snap. So
The
when you
halo effect,
read,
right?
pardon me?
The halo effect, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. So they take a quick judgment and they judge the whole thing based on it. Right. You could call it the halo effect. So So when they make, they're doing this about you and your business, even as we speak. They're making these snap judgments based on almost no information and no deliberation. So when you lead with a big, sexy idea at the fore of your website, of your speeches, of all the stuff that you're doing, it doesn't mean everyone is going to love you, but it means that the right people are going to be making a decision on whether to speak to you or not based on an idea that you think is very important to who you are and very sellable. Just look, by the way, Itzik, our talk right now is all about differentiation and big, sexy ideas. That's all we talked about. Those were decisions I made 15, 20 odd years ago. Wow. To be about those things. So our whole conversation is revolving around decisions I made decades ago. If I didn't make those decisions, not only would I not necessarily be on your show, but we'd be talking about something else. That's how important this stuff is. It's everyone listening, the same thing is happening to your businesses. Even if you're selling products or services, the decisions you make are where the conversation's going to start from, or if someone's going to ignore you.
Love it. And I think if you allow me to say, you have to do it authentically, as you did it, intentionally, but also consciously, because a lot of people doing it, they don't even knowing they're doing the decisions, but unconsciously, and then complaining why they don't get the right people around them, why they don't hear what they can do, why they forget about them when they really need the services. Exactly what it is. If you have to be intentional, authentic, and conscious about what you are positioned and do it, then exactly, you speak about it 20 years later as well.
Right, exactly. Well, and also related to what you just said, sometimes differentiation is something natural to who you are, but other times your differentiation needs to be created. And I'll just give like a silly version.
Sure.
Like the delis in New York City, which I think have closed from like COVID problems and so forth. But there were,
etc. Yeah.
Right. But there were delis where instead of having a sandwich that was like an inch tall, they would have a sandwich that was like 8 inches tall.
Like Woody Allen or so.
Right. So
it's called Woody Allen, you know that, right?
Right. What did Woody say? What did Woody Allen say about?
No, that's the sandwich called Woody Allen.
They gave the names.
Yeah, they have a name because there are several layers.
That's another form of differentiation. But it's this idea of having a sandwich 8 inches tall is not because you need all that meat and all that stuff on the sandwich. That's not part of it. It's to it's to make that deli stand out, to have people have a conversation, because meals are social events. So your 8-inch high sandwich is not for the individual. It's when you're with a group. Here's this 8-inch high sandwich. Everyone's going to be taking photos of it. They're going to be putting on social media. They're going to be talking about it. The sandwich might have the name of a celebrity, like whoever it is. All that stuff is engineered differentiation, as opposed to differentiation that's a natural part of who you are. I'm not saying one is superior over the other. I'm just saying sometimes what you should differentiate about is already there, and other times you need to create it.
But isn't it, but if I continue way of thinking with you, then also the differentiation you make damage the differentiation of others. Because if somebody else go to deli and get a sandwich of one layer of meat, and expectation to get in deli is a huge sandwich, maybe your differentiation damage the ability of others to differentiate themselves if they just copy you, right? They have to take a different angle.
Well, it may damage what it is I hear,
overshadow, whatever the word is.
What it is I hear you saying is when you differentiate in an interesting and forceful way, you become known for that point of differentiation. And if others try to differentiate in the same way, then they're just looked as copycats.
Or ridiculous, because the expectation to get a big sandwich, that's a deli, Katz Deli, that's what it is. I go to deli in Florida, I expect to get there, and if I get this little thing, I think, what's going on here? That's a horrible deli.
That the differentiation is so strong and it's so appropriate to the audience that, it hurts their expectations everywhere. They expect everyone. Well, it reminds me of what you're saying, the old saw about Disney, that Disney upped the customer service idea so high that people expected Disney service everywhere they went. You know, like you could go to the hardware store, and
Yeah.
if you didn't get Disney-like service, people were outraged because they just expected that anywhere they went. So, right, your point's very well taken.
Exactly. And that's something for people to understand because that's spoiling your audience, and be careful from that as well. By the way, those who are joining us, I'm here with Mark Levy speaking about differentiating your firm boldly. So not only yourself as a professional, but also your firm in the same right way. So if you want to say hi, type your name in the chat box. And if you have questions for Mark, that's also the place to put your question so I can address them to Mark right now. And if you're interested, by the way, to learning more about Mark and his work, because we're not going to cover everything in our conversation, you can always welcome very much to check his website, which is levyinnovation.com. Let me put it for you on the screen. So you'll see levyinnovation.com that we can find. You can also connect on LinkedIn as well. I promise you, he's an amazing, nice guy. I'll be happy to help you and get you. And if you want to make sure you never miss one of our quickly switch on interview series, so the best way to do that is, of course, follow me on LinkedIn and go to the Switch Hub website. You can sign up, get my business development strategies and tips, and you will be added to our email list where you get regular reminder about our fantastic guests like Mark today. So let's continue about the practical topics of differentiating your firm boldly. And Mark, when it comes down to it, people don't really care about your practice, right? It's a hard thing, but it's just true. People don't care about people practice at all. They don't care until you, as a practitioner, as a professional, answer the one question that really they want to know. What is it for me? So the next obvious question for you, Mark, how can differentiation help answer such a question? And how authenticity really play a role here?
Well, the way you phrased that question, it reminded me years ago of what one of my clients said to me. Some of you know him out there, David Meerman Scott. He wrote the biggest selling social media book of all time, The New Rules of Marketing and PR. And he's written other bestsellers. Fanocracy was a Wall Street Journal, but so that's David. So
Kidnapping the news, right?
Say it again.
Kidnapping the news as well.
Right. Newsjacking.
Not that.
Right.
Exactly.
Newsjacking. Right. He coined
that. We spoke together on Tony Robbins' stage.
That's right. He's on Tony Robbins' stage. So anyway, I once asked David, because I was doing a series of blog posts about this. And so he's a top marketing guy. And so I asked David, what's your best advice on marketing? And David said, oh, that's the easiest question in the world to answer, Mark. He said, no one gives a blank. And he didn't use the word blank. He said, no one gives a blank about you and your business. He said, they care about themselves and their own lives. And so here's what he said to make this, to make this work for you. He said, suppose you own a wine store. You sell wine, right? Wine bottles.
Right.
And he said, you don't want to create a blog post, or you don't want to create a blog that's about your wine store. Like how much you're selling wine for, what's on sale. No one wants to go there. They're not interested in it. What you would want to do is create a blog about the wine lifestyle. So you would be writing posts about people who follow the wine. So like trips to vineyards that have nothing to do with your wine store. It's things like that, trips to vineyards, like cigar humidors, whatever you think the wine lifestyle consists of, that's what you want to write about. And if you do a good enough job about that and people are coming to your site, you can occasionally drop in that you have a wine for sale, but otherwise stay away from that because people just don't care, right? So they care about their own selves and their lifestyle. To answer
I love it because a lot of people listening to us, I'm telling it for years, stop sending your clients a newsletter about you. They don't care about you. Put in the newsletter things they care about, and they read it every day. And it's such beautiful advice you give us here, Mark, because law firms are sending newsletter every single month about the new regulation, who are the new partners of the firm, and that's when not differentiate yourself. Well, they're not going to help you market yourself.
And to go on top of what you just said, so service providers who I deal with, my financial advisor, my accountant, and so forth, they send me newsletters like once a month or so that I never ever read. I mean, I've told them this. I just instantly delete them. And it's
Exactly.
because when I open the newsletter, I can instantly tell that they have never read this newsletter either, that they're doing some service. Like, in other words, I know them, I talk to them, I know how they think or whatnot. And then I see these these content rich, like lots of small type about regulations and about trends in the world. And I'm saying, my guy, or, they didn't write this. So, like, to me, you're sending me garbage. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing in it. Like, you don't even know what's in it. Like, so that's why. So, because you were talking about authenticity before, I would way rather have someone write me something clunky that they may have written, even though it was clunky, or at least if they're using a service, say, hey, I use this service, but I pick the articles that go in each month, even though I didn't write them. So they're curating it. But I want to see their thumbprint on it in some way because I hired them. I don't want to see like some service that they, like, because I'm in their funnel. Like, that doesn't interest me.
Absolutely. And your clients are always busy. They don't have time to read another newsletter about something that doesn't help them grow their business, help their life, whatever it is. So it's obvious, it's logic. But you know what? For almost 3 decades, I'm a lawyer. Nothing changed. It's the same story. And I always claim that, but you're so right, Mark. So I'm here again with Mark Levy, speaking of differentiating your firm boldly. I love this conversation. It's so raw, it's so nice, it's so authentic, it's so real, and you need to listen to us. So if you are listening now, join us. It's not too late. We are talking about differentiating your firm. So I have no doubt, Mark, that building a strong firm brand, and I think you wrote about it so much, and you agree, I'm sure, is the undisputed key to success in today's business world, including the professional world we are talking about now. And what we're learning in this episode is that robust differentiation is the absolute, if you allow me to say, must to build a powerful and compelling firm brand. So having that in mind, and to make it, even more practical to our viewers who are listening to us now, my next question is: could you please share with us maybe the tools, some tools that help differentiate the firm boldly? What people can do right now, which they can use that you see what you're saying is right.
Sure. So there's so many tools, but
Choose.
if you want to build your brand, one of the best tools to differentiate is always differentiating against something else, right? You don't differentiate in a vacuum. If what you had was so unique that there was no other business that had ever done anything like that, all you'd need to do is to define your business and people would hear it, and that would be the differentiation. But almost no one out there, or literally no one out there, has such a business. So it's important that you differentiate against what people think you are. So one exercise that I like to give people, I had first learned it from a friend of mine in Canada, Michelle Naray. I call it the stereotypes exercise. So the stereotypes exercise is: imagine that someone is coming to visit your business and they don't really know what you do. They know overarchingly what you do, like the main idea of your business, but they don't know anything about your products and services and guarantees and all kinds of stuff like that. Nevertheless, they have probably shopped other businesses that are like yours, that fit in your category. What you should first do is make a list of all the stereotypes that they have in mind when they first approach you. What do they think you're going to say? What do they think you're going to sell them? What do they think your terms are? What do they think your customer experience is going to be? It doesn't mean your business is like those things, although it may be, but what do they think? What's already in their mind when they come to see you? So that's the first list. What are the stereotypes about my industry, whether they fit me or not? Then the second list is: what are all the differences? What ideas, inside stories, exercises, products, services, what are all the things about my firm that are different than the stereotype? And from that list of differences, you can often find one principal difference, which you can elevate to the fore as a big, sexy idea. Or you can at least take a bunch of those differences and use them as fuel in your pitching and your marketing and so forth. So going against the stereotypes is a beautiful way to initially differentiate. That's one tool.
Great. And I love it. And I think it's absolutely, if people listening to us, it's in your own hands. Mark didn't say go buy something. He said go do this, keep time, do the time, put the time on it, invest the time in it, and do this exercise. You're going to get at least the first glimpse into how you differentiate yourself boldly. And there's more after that. I'm sure we don't have the time for it now. But again, Mark is always approachable. So use that. And when you do the exercise, go tell him about what did you do, what did you find out? I'm sure you're going to get feedback and get an amazing conversation. So almost at the end of our conversation, Mark, and I want to summarize this great session by the quote that I definitely get powerful meaning in the age of social media, a quote that of Seth Godin, who said that surprise and differentiation have far more impact than a noise does. And I think that's a very important thing because, there's a lot of noise in our world. But if you do very much differentiate yourself, you'll stand out very quickly, very fast, where everybody else just making noise around and don't differentiate yourself. So now, my friends, it's time to take action, to implement what the thoughts are. I mean, those of you who not watch everything, you can watch the replay, listen to carefully what Mark said to us. A lot of diamonds in between the words. Even stop the recording and listen to it because it's amazing. How can the simple ideas can carry yourself 20 years like Mark is doing, differentiate yourself boldly that everybody will know what you're good at and you stand out of the crowd. We've been here with Mark Levy. He's the top differentiation expert, author, speaker, and founder of the Levy Innovation LLC. If you want to know about Mark, go to his website, levyinnovation.com, or connecting on LinkedIn or any other way. Just use it because amazing person. I want to thank you, Mark. It's been fantastic. The half an hour passed very fast, and I have thousands of other questions to ask you.
Thank
you
so
very much for joining.
I'm grateful to you and to everyone listening. Thank you.
And thanks for each one of you joining us. I know you didn't ask a question this time. You missed, but thank you for being here with us. Remember, next episode, next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central European Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. But now it's your time to switch on your firm differentiation and stand out. Bye for now, everybody. Thank you very much.